Right, guys, welcome back to the channel and to this new series, Your Armies on Parade. And what better way to kick it off? I've got Chris Wildman here with his towel. So welcome to the channel, Chris. Thank you very much for joining me.
All right, mate. Thank you very much for having me. An absolute pleasure.
Excellent. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about Chris's army, and we're going to have a look through the pictures that he's got here. Some very nice pictures, some very nice models. And of course, we've got to see them in some action as well. And we're going to learn a little bit about Chris and how he got into the hobby and everything. So tell us about yourself, Chris. How long have you been gaming? What do you play? Where do you play?
Awesome. So I started in the hobby when I was about 11 years old, which was, well, I'm 29 now, so I'll let you guys do the maths. Dragged my mum into a Games Workshop with my twin brother, and we were met and taught by Peachy and Duncan themselves in the Derby store.
Wow.
And that's where it all started. And since then, I did the standard on and off thing with when you're 16, girls, exams, and all those boring bits. But got to my 20s, got a bit of income, and thought, right, let's spend some time doing something I really used to love and now can do.
It's really weird. I think everybody who's around about 30 probably would admit to the same thing. I'm exactly the same as well.
Yeah, and I'll see it these days in the kids in my group. You'll see them in their 10, 11 years old, up to 12, 13, having a great time, making new friends, getting the painting down, and then nothing. And then fast forward 5, 6 years, and then they come back in with facial hair. They're looking down on me because they've grown so much.
Excellent.
But yeah, so it all started in there. First army was Tyranids. My first ever models were the metal blister pack gargoyles that came in a duo. I think they were labelled H back when they were given letters instead of prices. I'd love to know where they are now. But yeah, and then between now and then, there's obviously been Space Marines and Orcs and Space Wolves and anything and everything in between. Chances are, if there's models for it, I've done it at some point.
Excellent, excellent. So, obviously, this video is about your Tau, but do you currently collect any other armies?
Oh, so my main army for Warhammer 40,000 is Genestealer Cult. I've probably got close to 5,000 points of those, with a lot of Astra Militarum bits thrown in.
That's impressive considering they're like, what, 5 points a guide?
Yeah, well, because Genestealer Cults can be used in Necromunda and Kill Team, I basically used that as an excuse to go, oh, I'll get some more neophytes, I'll do a new team for those.
Yeah.
60, 70 neophytes later, and it's like, yeah, they're my main love for Warhammer 40,000 because I love they're my favourite story narrative, and they're also a joy to paint. And then I've got Carcharodons for Space Marines, a little bit of Adeptus Mechanicus, and then loads of bits and bobs, little projects for things like Kill Teams Past and little games and New Year, New Army that we all start and then fizzle off after a couple of months.
Excellent. I'm working on my Genestealer Cult. I don't know whether you've seen my tanks yet, which are half Tyranids.
Yes, they look absolutely wicked. Mine are just rusted up and covered in red stars, so yours are a lot more interesting to look at.
I've got 40 neophytes to paint, so I feel you're painting 70.
Amazing.
But
they're nice. They get loads of different options, and they're going to be great when the new book comes out. I think that's my hope anyway.
Yeah, and we don't have long. The point of filming this, we don't have long. We know it's coming after Orcs and Space Wolves, but yeah. So why Tau? Why did you choose Tau for this showcase?
So it all started just after Christmas just gone, where, as I mentioned, inevitable New Year, New Army starts up. And the Christmas Battle Forces that Games Workshop did, the Tau was my favourite one based on the models in there. I loved every single one of them. And I loved the theme behind it. It was all battle suits and stealth suits and a ghost kill and then a commander to lead it all with a load of drones. And that narrative of it really appealed to me. So I decided I was going to grab that and get some Fire Warriors and another couple of stealth suit teams and base it around that. And then for painting it, it came down to one of the many occasions I watched Predator. And I really wanted to do something jungle themed because I normally do snow or urban, and I figured, let's go jungle.
Yeah.
So that's why they're very dark, earthy greens, lots of brown mud weathering. I needed spot colours to go against the green, so I chose red and black because they go well with most things. A little bit inspired by the July 26th revolutionary movement of Cuba, because I watch a lot of historical wartime documentaries about civil movements. And that was the theme for the army, to be hit and run guerrillas in the jungle, running around, blowing things up, and then disappearing, at least is the plan.
Excellent. And I presume you're excited about the new Predator film, even though it's not fully in a jungle?
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I'll go in with minimal expectations and hopefully come out at least smiling that I've enjoyed it.
Excellent, excellent. So, with the whole jungle theme, obviously for your bases and everything, I can see here that you've used the Citadel basing kit with the leaves and everything. What made you decide to keep the bases quite minimalist? Because if you've seen some of my bases, I tend to go overboard with my bases. A lot of people don't like basing, I've found, but some people do just enough. Some people go overboard. Why did you choose to go with this level of coverage on your bases?
Yeah, I personally love basing. Basing's one of those beautiful things for me. It shows you getting to the end of the model. You can be really kind of slapdash and not be as delicate as you need to be with the model. And I spent a lot of time looking for things to add to the base. So did standard plastic aquarium bits and bits of plastic plants and bits like that. And I just couldn't find anything that matched the army. I tried painting some stuff up to match, and it just wasn't doing it for me. And I figured, let's keep it minimal. Let's do some bright colours on those nice brackens that they do in G-dubs. Paint them up to be really nice and bright. Stick them on. And then the texture paint was Sterling Mud, and then not the Athenian Camouflage, what's it called? Lustrine Undergrowth. So the two texture paints, put them on at the same time, let them meet, give them a wash of Athenian Camouflage and a light dry brush, done. So you get nice blends of greens to browns, all those nice earthy colours with the bright bits of bracken on there.
Excellent. And then, of course, the little tufts of grass as well.
Yeah, everybody loves a tuft.
And you know what? It really works. It doesn't draw your eye away from the model too much. It's the right balance, and I think you pulled it off very, very well.
Yeah, thank you. Like I said, as long as it ties in with the jungle theme and you can think, oh, well, they're clearly camouflaged for jungle fighting, then mission accomplished in my eyes.
Brilliant. So you mentioned that you liked the whole stealth feel to the Christmas bundle that was out. What is your favourite Tau model?
Favourite model is going to have to be the Ghost Kill.
Excellent model.
Love the premise of this. It is absolutely superb. I love the idea of this enormous hulking tank-busting ghost suit that appears out of nowhere, blows something up, and then disappears again. The narrative in the Codex was particularly good, explaining how it's experimental and being used out and about in the spheres of expansion. It was really fun to build, really fun to paint, and since the Codex, it's done a lot of stuff on the table. Index, not so much, thanks to all the -1s to hit, and I think it was down a toughness point in the Index. But since going Codex, it's done really, really well. I take it to every game, and I just love it. It makes me smile. It's the best thing I can say about it.
Yeah, I like them as well. It's got enough firepower that it can hurt stuff, but then it's not as massive as a target as, say, like a Riptide or a Storm Surge. So I totally agree. And obviously the pausing and everything on it, the model itself is just absolutely outstanding. It is one of the more recent Tau models. I think it came out with the 7th edition Codex.
Yes.
It is a little bit newer than some of the others, but it's absolutely fantastic, and I totally agree. Definitely my favourite model as well.
Yeah, it still stands up there with the stealth suits as well. If you stick the Ghost Kill with all the stealth suits, you see the theme and the kind of the angle they all go with together. And again, for narrative, which for me is what I do all my armies based on, that's what really makes me smile about it.
Excellent, excellent. So with your Tau and your stealth feel that you've got with the army, what armies are your Achilles heel, or what do you think if your opponent goes, oh, I'm bringing like Dark Eldar? What army makes you go, oh
no? Dark Eldar is definitely one of them because of all the poison weapon. Funnily enough, ballistic skill 3, predominant shooting. Although I can knock it down to 4 still good shooting. And then anything that can poison them, like the Dark Eldar do, and similarly Craft World Eldar, just because of how nippy they are and how easy it is to get those to shoot you on a 2+.
Yeah.
And with high damage weapons that can very quickly make my ghost kill go from to
Yeah. What about armies that have got negative modifiers here? Because obviously Tower Ballistic Skill 4+. Now, obviously, with Martial Light, you can increase it. You get reroll 1s and things. But do you find that when you go against, for example, Harlequins or Raven Guard, or there's an AdMech one that's -1 to hit, how does that affect your list? Do you think, oh no, do you have to play more aggressive to get within the range so that you're not suffering modifiers?
I play aggressively anyway. Sadly, I'll do this really nice scene for the army and get this really nice story and how they fight in the story of the game, and then throw it out the window and get excited and lob them up the board as fast as I can. That's me as a player.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the things I do well against are things like Astra Militarum, because they're similar for me for shooting, but obviously most of my army has that -1 to hit. So most of those hit me on 5s, and then that lets me run up blowholes in tanks, scatter infantry away, and have a good time. But yeah, things like you say with the Eldar Alatok with their -1 to hit at X amount of inches, me hitting on 5s is not great, and especially when there's lots of little things. I run broadside sometimes, which can take care of your tanks and your larger prey. But when it's lots of little things like your Swooping Hawks, your Guardians, or Primaris Marines, I had a bad time against Raven Guard, like you mentioned. Then yes, I do struggle. But as per, run them up close, shoot them. If they get into combat, then I'm having a good time and rolling dice, and that's all that matters.
So what sept do you normally play as?
I run them as Dalith. And again, that's based on the narrative of the army, because they specialise in camouflage fighting from afar, and utilise the counting as being in cover in the open if they don't move, which again reflects them being dug in and waiting for the target to come past and letting the pulse fire.
Excellent, excellent. Before the Codex actually came out, I did do a narrative campaign, and the whole Dalith sept and everything that went on around Dalith, I really, really liked the narrative behind that, and I'm not a big reader, so for me to say that I enjoyed that, and I totally get where you're coming from, and I do like the concept. I do wish that it was a little bit more practical in game. Not that it's not for yourself, but I just feel that the +1, if you don't move, it's like the Jormungandr for Tyranids.
Very much so.
A lot of people run to the other ones or jump to the other ones because they seem on paper so much better.
Exactly.
So,
and I took this list to an event up in Belpin near where I live, and I started getting the army out, and everyone immediately said, because it was a couple of weeks before the Codex came out, "Oh, how many commanders are you running?" Because it was back in the multi-commander fusion blaster shenanigans. And when I pulled one out, they were very taken aback. And despite the fact that the list did very badly and I came second from the bottom, it was a good time, and I learned some stuff. And then, like I said, a few weeks later, the Codex came out and helped it out a bit. But the army kept the narrative. I didn't have to change anything because things weren't obscenely bad or things didn't then become obscenely good. Points were changed. A few little tweaks were made. And the Codex reflects, in particular, my army and their narrative and what I want them to do much better.
Excellent. So, with all of that in mind, what is your favourite stratagem or combo to pull off within the Codex and with the army that you currently have?
It's definitely the Dalith-themed ones. So there's Wall of Mirrors, which is the generic tower one, and that enables me to pick some stealth suits and to basically teleport them to within 6 inches of my ghost keel. Again, anywhere within 12 inches of the ghost keel and more than 9 inches away from the enemy. So that's great for zipping stealth suits around and getting them into position, particularly objectives late game.
Yep.
Which sometimes I do remember objectives. It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. And then in combination with that is Strike and Fade. So that's the Dalith specific one, which lets me pick a Dalith sept unit and move them up to 6 inches as if it were the movement phase after they have shot. Shoot, then immediately move up to 6 inches.
So it's like Fire and Fade for the Eldar, but obviously specific Dalith one to represent those guerrilla tactics.
Yeah, exactly. It lets my stealth suit team, get up, shoot up, do that 2d6 damage for the fusion blaster, get 6 inches back, and then hopefully be a little bit further away for the opponent to charge me later on.
Didn't Riptides have something like that back in 7?
Oh, they did, yeah. And then there was the tremendous wall of mirrors formation for the Ghost Key and the stealth suits, which always let you hit your opponent's rear armor.
Yeah.
Regardless of, so that made the Lehman Russers sweat a lot.
So, in relation to the whole story theme and what you've got going on with your army, have you got any victory stories or successes that any of your characters or models have managed to do whilst gaming?
Yeah, there's been some great moments and some questionable moments, and the questionable moments are as funny as the victories. There's a great moment against the Astra Militarum player where I flew my commander onto an objective, and he had the mirror field, again, suiting the theme of my army, where he was -1 to hit, and my opponent had a Helverin, Armiger Helverin Imperial Knight, and I thought, it'd be fine, he's hit me on 4s. One dead commander after a few dice later made me severely regret that decision because he got Warlord and I lost the objective.
Yeah.
But where there are great failures, there are great victories. I was playing my buddy's Drukari army, and his Archon was charging my lonesome stealth suits. He was by himself, bless him, the Shazray with his Fusion Blaster. I thought, this is it. Good night, sweet prince. See you on the other side. Fired my Overwatch with his Fusion Blaster, managed to hit. Wounded it on 2s, and Archons having their 2-up invulnerable save. What can I make of it? He rolls a 1. I roll a double 6 on the damage table. That was 1 splattered Archon.
Very, very nice.
Yes, my opponent's face of his Archon's first game, his first time he had to make an arm save, and he rolls that 1, and obviously it states it cannot be rerolled with any stratagems or command points. I was as happy for that stealth suit as I was dismayed for my opponent because he was livid.
I bet so. There's nothing worse than thinking, against all of the odds you're going to lose, and then one random dice roll like that changes it all.
Yep, and that's what makes those games so great, and I'll forever remember that, and I think my buddy Tony will too, and I will love to play him again sometime and see if history can repeat itself.
If you've ever watched Winter's SEO, and I've got no doubt that you probably have, you'll know who... DSO one is?
Yes.
The little Admech guy with the arc rifle that killed the Reaver Titan.
What a lad. What an absolute lad.
What a guy, yeah. See, I've got so many armies, I don't think I can keep track of stuff like that. I wish I could, but no.
Yeah, well, I always do an Instagram phase when something like that happens. I'll straight in with my phone, taking a picture, waving my arms around, throwing a post up, and then remembering I'm in the middle of the game and to calm down a little bit.
So, with the army as it stands, what is next for it? How are you going to expand it? What models are you thinking of adding to the force next?
I would love to throw a Storm Surge in, because nothing says quiet, stealthy jungle fighters like a hulking great suit with an enormous cannon on its back. But that's just mainly because I want to paint it.
It is a beautiful model. I've just finished my second one. If you do that, though, you absolutely, without doubt, have to go outside, find a tree, get a whole branch, and have it like resting up against a branch, so it's kind of trying to blend in with it.
Yeah, and as I always say during my Tau games, it's Predator references for days, so things like, there, in them trees. And in all Storm Surge sticking out. Love it. But other than that, something a little bit more sensible, because it's a very sensible adult hobby. Kill Team, I think, is going to be next for the Tau.
Excellent.
Just because, again, it's the narrative. I've got the backstory. I'll roll out the names because I love the name generator and the quirks and stuff in the Kill Team book. A few Fire Warriors, maybe a couple of Pathfinders, and some Stealth Suits. And yeah, it's like they were made for it.
Absolutely. I've got a question regarding your Cadra Fireblade, though.
Yes.
Is the face paint supposed to have been inspired by Arnie?
100% yes. Thank you for noticing. That really is the best thing. All of the Tau, all of the Fire Warriors have no helmets and have all got big brown streaks running down their faces.
Right, excellent. That must have taken you some time to get all the helmetless Fire Warriors.
Thankfully, I've got plenty of friends who would rather paint helmets than faces, so I was quite lucky in that respect.
Fair enough, fair enough. So, that is your Tau. Now, obviously, you did mention at the beginning there that you've got a few armies. If you were to start a new one, sort of the whole new year, new army kind of thing, starting totally afresh, what army would you now choose if you could go and just pick the whole lot out and start it, and what thing would you go for?
So if I have a look, I'll imagine I'm stood in my local games workshop and I'm looking at the shelf.
Yeah.
Ugh.
What sticks out to you, and what makes you think, I want that, I'm going to do this with it?
Ooh, it's probably, because one of the few armies I've yet to have anything to do with is probably Custodes.
Very nice.
And that is for a few reasons. The average model count is about 10 models and 1,000 points, which I could probably do in about a week.
Yep.
And it's new territory, and I've had very little experience painting gold. And again, it's one of those armies you can really take your time with painting because of the low model count.
Yeah.
And all my gaming group and buddies know me as the least competitive person you'll know, and I'd love to go in there and prove them right by losing all my games with my super powerful codies.
The Dawn Eagle jet bikes are fantastic looking models, and I'm actually painting some for a friend at the moment, so I'm going to enjoy painting them. But
yes, I'd hate to be the one with the captain and 9 jet bikes, but at the same time, I'd love nothing more than all my movement phase just to be going as I run around the table.
As you
just so my opponent knows just how super serious I am.
Literally making the sound effects as you move them.
Got to be done. Otherwise, you're playing it wrong.
Definitely. I remember once I did that with my Eldad jet bikes and left it on camera. So, yeah, good fun, good fun.
Excellent. Superb.
So that is it. That's all the questions I've got for you, Chris. Thank you very much for joining me. I do appreciate it. And of course, your army is absolutely fantastic. So thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you very much. Yeah, no, cheers for taking the time and having a chat with me and nerding out. It's always awesome to do with people.
It is indeed. So if anybody else is interested in getting in touch and sharing their armies on the channel as well, drop me an email. The link is below in the description. And of course, please check out the rest of the channel. But for now, thanks once again, Chris, for joining me.
No bother, mate. Have a nice night.
You too, and we'll see you all again very soon.